We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. It has been a minute, a little bit of a break, but we are back as OTAs begin week 2 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Lindsay Patterson, Mike Santagata. Mike, how are you doing? You're married now.
I know. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Had a great weekend. Um, wedding was almost perfect. The only reason I say that is because, well, the jeweler sized me just a tiny bit too small. so, and I noticed right away that I was like, oh, that's really tight. And then our photographer, while we were eating, was like, hey, can I get your rings for some photos? And my fiance, or now wife, pulls hers off, and then I am. Do you need oil or something? But I was able to get it off, get my fingernails dug underneath there, and was able to get it off. And everybody has told me that's a little too tight. Went to the jeweler today, same one that sized me, gave me the ring and everything. They're like, no, that's too tight. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you sized me. I don't wear rings. This is on you. So they're fixing it for free. So that part's
Better.
good. But yeah, I know. It'd be weird if I had to pay for it. But other than that, everything was perfect. So I had a really good weekend. Hopefully yours was just as good.
Yeah, no, congratulations to you. That is absolutely awesome. In not so big news, the Cincinnati Bengals continue their OTAs, but I guess there was a little bit of news with quarterback Joe Burrow. It's kind of been a lot when it comes to Joe and throwing, and obviously coming off a major wrist surgery. We've talked about that plenty. Joe's been throwing for the last couple months. When it comes to percentage, we do not know how fully 100%, 90% how healthy he is, but he's been throwing with the team. But as of the last few days, according to the media, they were there at Tuesday's practice. Everybody does need to know during OTAs, media is there only one day a week. And Zach Taylor talked to the media afterwards and just told him, hey, it was a rest day for Joe. I know Joe Goodberry did put out a little bit this afternoon that Joe was at practice. We have the social media video of it, but he didn't throw, according to Joe Goodberry. Again, media isn't there on Wednesdays. So to be determined, for me personally, it's June. I think the Cincinnati Bengals need to be, it's important to not rush him out there. Maybe watch the reps. If Joe's feeling sore one day, then you really do need to listen to him and Zach Taylor. Said that to the media yesterday. Do you have any concerns with what's going on with Joe Burrow?
No, it's June. If he's taking a day off every week, I mean, honestly, he could do that whenever he wants. To me, I mean, not like fully off. He probably has to be there for mental reps, for uh, you know, building chemistry, whatever else. But to me, I don't care if he takes a day off per week throwing, even later. If there's surprise not throwing incidents and we are in August, I will have some concern. But at the moment, I don't care at all.
Yeah, I think what's important about it, and if we even go back to, and I'm not comparing it to a calf injury because obviously it's different, it's a major wrist surgery. But if we were to go back to last training camp, Joe's going full go. He's getting his training camp out there. And then that one hot day in July, maybe he wasn't feeling 100% with his calf, ended up getting a calf strain. And some of that stuff, I think that you can relate to going into this training camp, to mini camp next week. They have one more day of OTAs. It really sounds like Zach Taylor is going to shrink down mini camp next week. So maybe it's only 2 days. Maybe it is full 3, but not a full day on the third day. You got to be smart. You got to save the player from himself. We all know Joe. He's a competitor. Zach Taylor said he wants to be out there. Joe continued his rehab inside, and he was at practice again on Wednesday afternoon. We don't really know what it looked like for him. Obviously, reports from Joe Goodberry said he was stretching with the team. He's there. Nothing was on his wrist. But the thing about I know how fans feel, and I can't tell people how they should react and if they should be nervous. And, if you should be like, oh, it's only June, don't worry about it. Wait until July, like you mentioned, maybe August. But everyone's going to feel a little sensitive anytime it's Joe Burrow because of just, his calf injury last year, coming off a major wrist surgery, everything that he's kind of had to deal with during training camp. So I know that people are going to feel a certain way, but I agree with you right now. In June, I'm not too worried. In July, I feel like we're going to kind of see similar situations during camp where maybe he's not going every day and maybe it's every other day, or maybe he goes a couple days and takes 2 days off. I mean, the biggest thing for me is you don't win games in the off season. You don't win games in June and July. but you could lose them if your quarterback is hurt when it comes to September. So I do think the Cincinnati Bengals need to be extremely cautious with Joe Burrow, and I think that's what they're doing behind the scenes. Just because we don't see Joe Burrow every single day, the media is not there every day. We don't know what that looks like behind the scenes, and for me, I agree. Nothing too crazy right now when it comes to Joe. Just be smart. Actually, cancel OTAs. Can they just not even have minicamp next week and just say, see you later, we'll see you in July?
Probably not. I personally am hoping they have a fast start this year, which is unusual for them, and they probably need OTAs for that.
Well, the thing is, they'll have one more day of OTAs this week. Jamar Chase is expected to be back next week. So obviously that'll be absolutely huge with the wide receiver room, having Jamar Chase back out there because it is mandatory minicamp. We'll get to all the contract connection in just a moment with Justin Jefferson. So we'll see what that looks like. But the Cincinnati Bengals will go one more day of OTAs this week. And then minicamp is technically OTAs next week. But it really sounds like they might only go 2 days. Maybe 3 is a light day. So to be determined if we see Joe Burrow back out there. But when Zach Taylor was talking to me, it did sound like he'd be back for minicamp, and he obviously was at practice today. We just don't know what that looked like because it was behind technically closed doors, unless you were on a bridge in Cincinnati and you can watch their OTA practice, which maybe somebody did today.
Don't they do that like every day? I don't know how these people are able to do this stuff.
I don't either.
During COVID, I felt like I was getting bridge photos and bridge videos all the time.
Yeah, no, there are people out there all the time, and maybe the Cincinnati Bengals will spend their last OTA week this week in the bubble. That's probably the best thing to do. Then we'll never know if Joe was throwing on Thursday afternoon. But yes, that's all we have. Oh, what did you say?
Yeah, good. I'm tired of the panic over this.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's crazy to me. I don't know. It's like we're in June. And you didn't throw for one practice, and there's mass panic in the streets.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I actually, we heard Joe talk right before OTAs and kind of the voluntary offseason workouts when he was talking to the media. And, he admitted he's got to do a better job of, not pushing himself. And I truly hope this is kind of the sign of what we're going to see going into training camp and just the rest of OTAs is Joe's being smart about it. You have to be smart about it. Don't go out there to show, hey, look what I can do in June and July. If you're not feeling great on one day, or if you're feeling like, you know what, it doesn't hurt to take a couple days off or a day off. It's Jamar Chase isn't out there. T. Higgins isn't out there. It is voluntary. Yes, it's important to get these reps with your rookie wide receiver and Jermaine Burton and then Charlie Jones and Yoshi, but it's not the end of the world if Joe's not going every single day 110%, and I'm fine with that. So outside of Joe Burrow, before we wrap up this first segment, is there anything else about OTAs that you want to talk about? Because Amarius Mims is out there getting those reps while Trent Brown is out.
Yeah, and Jermaine Burton also getting a lot of reps with T. Higgins out. So it's kind of cool that all the rookies who could have a decent-sized role or maybe weren't projected to have a decent-sized role, at least to start. If I was going to project Amarius Mims, it would be as a swing tackle to start the season. I know some people have floated around the idea of him playing guard this year so he gets on the field, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, especially opposite side, most likely. So I kind of like the idea of having him just be the swing tackle. Yeah, it's good that they're getting these reps, though. And that was something that didn't seem to help Dax Hill enough with Jesse Bates out. But it's a similar situation where maybe a veteran of some sort, that's the T. Higgins one, a similar situation, that the veteran isn't there, so you're going to have somebody step into that role. In that case, it was Dax Hill. And in this case, it'll be Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton's probably going to be the third receiver when they get to 11 personnel, which they do quite often. So, well, I shouldn't say probably, but he's heavily considered in that spot. So, yeah, I'm into all these guys getting as much opportunities as possible during OTAs, getting kind of stealing some extra time because of veterans missing these practices. When you get to the mandatory stuff, we'll see what happens. Question for you. Do you think T. Higgins is there for the mandatory minicamp, or do you think that he doesn't sign the franchise tag and does the Jesse Bates thing where he shows up maybe a week before the regular season starts?
I think T. Higgins shows up in August.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be there for mandatory. There's no reason, honestly. I mean, he's doing his own thing. I know they get fined, and well, he doesn't because he's not even signed. He doesn't get fined anything. He hasn't signed on the franchise tag, so nothing really happens to him. He just doesn't have to be there. When he does sign it, which I think will happen, maybe the second preseason week, he'll go to Paycor Stadium and say, you know what, we've been through this before, and not him, but the Bengals front office and David Malagueta. Time to sign that franchise tag. Let's go. Ready for week 1, and that's how that'll go down. And T. Higgins, I hope, like I've said before plenty of times this offseason, I hope he balls out. I hope he has one of the best seasons he's ever had in the NFL, and hopefully helps his team win it all. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I was just wondering if you thought he had a chance of showing up in July, but I don't really think so either.
Nah, not at all. We'll see him. He might be in the suite to watch some of the games at Paycor, just like Jesse Bates was. But no, I think we'll see T, and Jamar Chase will be back next week. I truly feel that way. And we'll get into the contract extension in just a moment. But any other thoughts on OTA so far?
No, there are OTAs. There's some fun stuff. There's some exciting stuff. It seems like we're getting, because of Amarius Mims, more offensive line clips, which is cool for me. Mm-hmm. Seeing how Frank Pollock is working, what he's emphasizing, and just seeing the big guys, because it feels like a lot of the clips around this time are really just wide receivers, quarterbacks, and sometimes some running back stuff. So cool. Hogs get some love because one was a first-round draft pick, and get to see a little bit behind the scenes. Other than that, I mean, they're OTAs. What can you really take away? It's guys running around in shorts.
There's one more thing I do want to say before we wrap up and talk a little Justin Jefferson contract extension and what it means for Jamar Chase. The running back situation, Zach Moss, Chase Brown, they have been getting the 50% reps, something I feel like we're going to see this season, and that's okay with me. I think that duo should be pretty fun. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cincinnati Bengals end up adding another running back. I know Samaje Perine, people are kind of putting that back out in the atmosphere. Maybe he's the third back familiar with Cincinnati, probably cheap, or maybe they get another guy. But it's nice to see those guys getting 50-50 reps right now.
Yeah. In my head, I would say I still think Zach Moss will probably be at least 60-40, but, splitting. It's not like Zach Moss is the workhorse and Chase Brown comes in for 5 touches a game. We're probably looking more like maybe 20-10 or 18-12 or something even closer than that. So if you're thinking 30 carries or so in a game, 30 touches, I should say. They're not going to hand the ball off 30 times, most likely.
Yeah, well, that is enough of OTAs. Again, the Cincinnati Bengals have one more day this week of OTAs. Minicamp next week. We will talk everything minicamp next week. But next, Justin Jefferson made a lot of money this week on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. 3, 2, 1. We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. We knew the time was coming, and I'm so sorry for Bengals fans who thought Justin Jefferson was going to be a Cincinnati Bengal. I thought it was kind of a waste of time, but it's officially not going to happen because the Minnesota Vikings did a very smart thing, and they paid Justin Jefferson. Even their GM said we were getting a lot of calls from teams wondering, hey, is he available? And they said, no way. Guaranteed $110 million, which is crazy. But Justin Jefferson, I would say, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Probably deserves every penny of that. And were you surprised at the number? Did you think it was pretty normal for Justin Jefferson, around $35 million a year?
One, I kind of dropped the idea that they were trading him forever ago. I just thought it was hilarious that was being considered, and I moved on personally because, I mean, come on, what are you doing? Yeah. But I'm a little surprised, I think, by the number because I thought it'd be closer to 30 to go all the way up to 35 per season. Pretty good. And Justin Jefferson doesn't really have a lot of rookie contract left that they're banking on here. If I was the Bengals, I would immediately offer this plus like $5 because I know everyone wants to set the market. Yeah, 0.1, 140, 0.1 extension to Jamar Chase. And the reasoning is, look, if you can get that and you add in the 5th-year option and you're doing it after his 3rd year, not his 4th year, you're going to be able to split that money up quite a bit. Because of the low cap hit this season, because of the low-ish cap hit next season, and then you have giant cap hits. That's kind of the issue they currently have with T. Higgins, where they've already exhausted all the cheap years. So they've only got expensive years. So if you did, for some reason, want to extend T. Higgins, which I would have done last season, wouldn't even be in this situation, but they're in the situation, you have to pay all that money. Instead, Jamar Chase, like, yes, you have to pay all that money, but you can spread it out. So it'll be a higher cap hit this year than you're expecting, and that can go as high as you want it to go. But then you're not also most likely paying $35 million year 2, 3, 4, etc. You're probably able to spread all this out. So maybe you're hitting 28 or even lower for some of those years. And that makes it a little bit more palpable to be able to do this type of deal. So I know that the Bengals are not the type to make quick moves like this. I almost expect this to go into next season with the 5th-year option, everything else. But if I was the Bengals, I would offer it now because you know how good he is. And it's only going to get more expensive. So CeeDee Lamb could even reset this again to 36 or so $1 million a year because the Cowboys have to pay him. And I'd want to get in front of that. I don't know. Maybe there's something on Jamar Chase's end, and maybe it's the guaranteed money because it is a ton of guaranteed money for a deal this big. Personally, pay it. What are you going to do? Not have Jamar Chase? Just pay it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I do not think the Cincinnati Bengals extend Jamar Chase this offseason.
Yeah, I agree, but still.
You know, I wish they would. But here's the thing. The Cincinnati Bengals probably want to extend Jamar Chase right now. The thing is, Jamar Chase is like, you know what? I'm Jamar Chase. I can ball out. I could move that to $38 million a year. I mean, who knows what the market will look like next offseason for him. So I truly think that he plays through this year. Then they do the extension. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to run into they're not going to extend Jamar Chase. I do not think that's a problem. I think they have the easiest decision when you have a guy like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You want to pay your superstars. No, it didn't work out for T. Higgins. I'm not super bummed they're not going to pay 2 wide receivers top wide receiver 1 money, but they're going to pay Jamar Chase. It's just now, when do they do it? And for me, I think Jamar Chase gets extended September 2025 when they're on the plane, if they're playing on the road, to their week 1 opponent.
Yeah. But we are.
I would love for it to be now. I would love for Jamar Chase to be in their office right now and saying, all right, hey guys, I'm in town for mandatory minicamp. Want me to sign on the dotted line? It doesn't happen that way. These discussions are going to go further and they're going to go back and forth, and we'll see what that looks like.
You just save so much money if you do it early, and you know they're going to do it. So maybe you overpay now to keep the deal better later. Maybe you give him 37 per year. And I know that sounds bad.
They have the money.
And when you can spread it out, it'll probably average less of a cap hit each season than 35 next year, or really, especially in 2 years, where the only way you're spreading that out is just putting it at 50 million at the end. And you don't really want to do that. It's okay to do that sometimes. Like that. You just keep kicking the can down the road. You get to that year, you extend it, and you spread that money out, etc. But like, if it's me, like Jalen Waddle got extended, same draft class. Devonta Smith got extended, same draft class. I would be trying my hardest to push Jamar Chase to get to some type of extension this offseason. And it makes sense monetarily. And he's really good. He's inarguably a top 2 player on this offense, probably top 2 player. Yeah, definitely top 2 player on the team in general. So, and arguably number 1, just pay him. You're going to pay Joe Burrow. You're going to pay Jamar Chase. So you pay Joe Burrow, now pay Jamar Chase, and then figure out every other part of this. I always find this part to be a little bit silly. At the same time, Jamar Chase has no need to rush into this deal because, like I said, if CeeDee Lamb does take $36 million a year, Jamar Chase can then have more ammo to go, I want 37 per year. Or maybe CeeDee Lamb somehow gets like a fully guaranteed deal. Jerry Jones is crazy.
Yes.
Jamar Chase might go, I want that too. I'm not signing a deal unless it's fully guaranteed. What are the Bengals going to do? Trade him? Probably not. So they'll probably have to give it eventually.
If you think about it, what are their other contracts besides Joe Burrow?
Orlando Brown.
That are like huge and major. That are.
I think Orlando Brown would be a pretty big one. I was going to try to look up Spot Track. I don't remember. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. I was going to try to look it up real quick to just see what the biggest deals are on the Bengals for their team cap hit for this season. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, obviously, but that's the franchise tag. Trey Hendrickson on that 1 year extension, and then Orlando Brown, $16 million. Sheldon Rankins, $12 million. BJ Hill ends this season. Sam Hubbard's number 7 on there. So there's not a ton of like huge money deals. What it feels like the Bengals always do, and this is another year of it, is sign a lot of mid-level guys, and they expect them to maybe outperform that. I think of Sheldon Rankins, Trenton Brown, some of those guys, Geno Stone, another guy, like they could outperform their contract pretty easily when they're signing top of the market type stuff. That's why I went to Orlando Brown, because he was kind of a top of the market. It's like if you went the past couple of years, you could go, yeah, DJ Reader's deal was pretty big, and like it's not huge, but it was top of the market, nose tackle money. Yeah, so they don't have a ton of huge money deals. I think it's fine to have a second one here. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that are high money go off the books soon. Think of T. Higgins, thinking of Trey Hendrickson, although he has another year after this. Sam Hubbard, I think, also 2 years left on his deal. So a lot of those guys coming off the books pretty soon, or need to be extended or something. So in my mind, Ja'Marr Chase, give him the extension. You have a lot of future cap health. You've got the current cap room to do it. You're not doing anything with that current cap room, so might as well use it up somehow. And give him the extension. Let's move on to some other deals need done. The Evan McPherson deal needs done, and we can move on to. Nobody's going to be crying about that one, I don't think.
No, I think that they're going to have no problem doing that. Honestly, here's the 2 extensions I see happening, and again, I don't want fans to freak out if Ja'Marr Chase doesn't get extended this offseason, because it might be a Ja'Marr Chase decision where he's like, well, I'm going to make even more money next year, so I'm good. Even if I don't even want to talk about health, but Ja'Marr Chase will be fine. So he can decide to wait another year. The Cincinnati Bengals have the money. Go ahead and pay your superstar, get it over with before that number gets even higher. I would love for them to do that. But again, it takes 2 sides to agree to a contract. So for me, I think it's going to be more of 2025. But if it happens sooner, then awesome. That is amazing. Good for the Bengals front office. Good for Ja'Marr Chase. He has more money. But I think the 2 extensions that I see the Cincinnati Bengals doing this offseason, definitely the Evan McPherson. I think it's smart. Go ahead and get on top of that. Get it over with. You have the money to do it. I think it would be smart to add a year to Mike Hilton right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's another one that could be done. My main issue with the Mike Hilton deal that could happen, theoretically, is every single young every single young defensive back on this team, it seems like the fallback is, he's just a future nickel. It's like DJ Turner, Dax Hill, all these guys. Hey, draft that guy. And if he doesn't work out corner, he could be, or safety, he could be a future nickel. There's one nickel on the team, guys. There's one player that plays that position. You can't be putting everybody there. I do think the Bengals think DJ Turner's an outside corner. I think that, I don't know what they think about Dax Hill. He's trying to outside corner. I don't really know what's going on there. And I don't think he's going to beat DJ Turner for the outside corner job. Could, I guess, theoretically, because that looks like where they're playing him. I think just to take it to the draft bros who said he was a nickel coming out, already took their victory lap, and then realized the Bengals aren't even putting him there. But they don't really have a backup nickel. I think it would be somebody like Dax Hill, maybe DJ Turner, Jalen Davis. I don't know. I agree. I'll have to say I agree. Mike Hilton. Yeah. I could see an extension. I do think – I don't think – you think it happens this offseason? Because I think you want Mike Hilton's at that age where I feel like you want to see him run around.
Maybe wait till next year, and it's like either you sign him or you don't, and he goes.
Yeah, I think they're going to do the DJ Reader thing where he's not signed. I think they want to, similar to Reader, but if he gets injured, like Reader, then you might not be.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's just older, and they are very, very cautious with those guys that are around 30 years old about signing them to any type of extension before they see how they play that final year.
One more thing, and then we'll wrap this up and talk a little kind of outlook for minicamp and then training camp. Trey Hendrickson is obviously back, and I feel like we've had podcasts in between, and we've talked about that. It's so weird to think about because that trade request feels like it happened for just 24 hours and then it was just over and it was never news again. But Trey Hendrickson obviously requested that trade back in April, the night before the draft. Nothing happened. The Cincinnati Bengals, they weren't going to trade one of their superstars on defense. Do you think, because the Bengals can add money when it hits the 12-month mark, I think they could have added another year, and it didn't have to be the 12-month calendar year according to the CBA, but they couldn't add any more money to the current extension. Do you think the Cincinnati Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, because they did talk after the draft, have some kind of deal in July that they'll add more money or another year to him? Or do you think it's like, ooh, 30s are scary? No.
I think it's a little bit of 30s are scary. I guess it could happen. I don't foresee it happening. I think you draft, I mean, you really need one spot, I guess. But with how nervous they've been about everybody who's around that age, DJ Reader, who played really well last season, Trey Hendrickson's played extremely well the past 3 seasons, and then last season was no different. He was amazing as a pass rusher. But do you draft Myles Murphy with the idea that he takes over for Trey Hendrickson? Do you draft him with the idea he takes over for Sam Hubbard? One of those two is probably not getting the extension, at least. I mean, I almost can guarantee it, but I won't because can't guarantee anything. No. I think Myles Murphy's taking over one of those jobs. Could it be Trey Hendrickson? Maybe. Could it be Sam Hubbard? Maybe. Do they let both go and draft somebody? That is also a certain possibility. So in my mind, I don't see Trey Hendrickson getting the extension that he's looking for right now because they still have him for another year after this, and they're probably just going to ride that right into the sunset.
And the good news is, as soon as they get Jamar done, they're going to have to talk about paying Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah, they got to pay everybody. Seems like
that's the way it goes. That's just you've got to keep some of these superstars on the team, and you know, Cam Taylor-Britt. We'll see what year he has, but obviously he's been a good addition to the secondary, and we'll see what season he has in 2024. But the Cincinnati Bengals, yes, pay your superstar and Jamar, and I believe I'm at a 99.999. Pretty much just sitting at 100%. They're going to pay Jamar Chase. I just don't know when. If it's going to be this offseason or next offseason. That's where I'm at.
Yep. They're going to pay him. I hope it's this year. Might not be.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Shouldn't say this year. Well, I guess I can.
You can see this year. We'll see what happens. But a little more on minicamp. It's almost over until they get to training camp. Next on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. We talked about Joe Burrow and OTAs and throwing, and all eyes are on Joe Burrow when he's out there. To be determined if he's practicing or throwing at OTAs on Thursday. They have minicamp next week, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days. Jamar Chase, we've talked extension to be determined on when that happens. But right now, the Cincinnati Bengals have one more technically 4 OTA days left. Minicamp is next week. Jamar Chase is expected to be back. What do you want to see next week in minicamp? Mike, I know you're so thrilled about OTAs.
Nothing. I don't want to see anything in minicamp next week because I'm going to be gone. So I hope I don't. I mean, I'll probably see some videos. I won't be able to stay off Twitter completely. But I mean, I'll be busy. So hopefully nothing bad for sure. But so hopefully, what I hope to see, one Joe Burrow throw. That'd be cool. Like one deep ball. Don't even care to who. I think Trent Irwin, because he's becoming my guy in terms of people don't care about him. So
people don't care about him. All the national media think right now they list him as the 3rd wide receiver.
Is that a problem?
I can't. I'm sorry, Trey. I'm sorry, Trey.
I could see it. He's solid. He's a solid pro. If that's what they want, if they want a guy that can go out there and provide solid play, Jamar Chase in the slot. Everybody loves that when it comes to talking about Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton, more of a slot receiver than Trent Irwin. Trent Irwin, he's an outside only type to me almost because of kind of how bad he was in the slot. This is not like Trent Irwin's some historic outside receiver. It's just, but we saw him in the slot in that Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game. We don't need to see that again. But every time he's outside, he's solid. He's good. Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, the Texans game, he caught the deep ball down the right sideline. That's him. He's the guy. He just makes plays, and I'm fully in support of that. If he ends up being the 3rd wide receiver to start the year, I'm not that surprised. Seems like you are, but I'm not.
No, no,
It's going
no.
to be Burton a couple of weeks to catch up. Maybe he
To
doesn't catch
start
up
the
this
year,
year. Trent
to
Irwin
start the
season
year,
is upon us. Hot,
to
hot
start the year,
boy
100%.
ball.
Yeah, start the year 100%. But I want that start to no offense to Trenton. I want to see Jermaine Burton just have himself a rookie year and just fly right up there to the third receiver.
Yeah, I expect that to probably happen eventually.
When?
I mean, it could be week 1. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know who'll be out there week 1. Like that is one where I legitimately think I would give. Maybe it's the hype getting to me. I would give Burton the lead, but I do not think he has run away with the job or that he probably will run away with the job.
Mm-hmm.
It depends what they want to do, too. Do they want T. Higgins out there as many snaps as normal if he misses all of that and doesn't get the ramp up period? Or do they want to give him some breaks? If so, you're probably going to see more Trent Irwin because I think he can play outside at a high level. No, relative, solid level. I don't want to be lying. But he's a solid player. Like I think Trent Irwin is a solid wide receiver. I don't hate the idea of him being the third guy and then Jermaine Burton takes some snaps. I think I would give Burton the lead. I would give Trent Irwin the number 2. I do think Charlie Jones has a shot. I
do
think
too.
everybody hates him now.
They do.
Yeah. Like you
They
see a ball
do.
from Charlie Jones' way, and it's not complete. All the comments are going to blame him.
They really do hate Charlie, and I just
So
want
and last year the Charlie Jones hype was dangerously close to what this Jermaine Burton hype has been. I remember all the stuff about Chuck Sizzle and everything that he was going to bring, and now it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore, toy. Throw it into the bin. I have a new friend, and I just think Trent Irwin's always going to be a part of this as long as he's on the team. I just think he's solid.
cheap.
I think people look for Trent Irwins out there and they don't find like the Chiefs could have used. Well, they won the Super Bowl, but they probably could have used a Trent Irwin during the regular season because they couldn't find guys that were just stable, guys who were just productive and consistent and solid. They were throwing out Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, and those guys were negatives to the team. You're not getting a negative with Trent Irwin, so I think that's the one part of this that I'm looking at in just terms of like, if you throw him out there, you're probably gonna get neutral level play, if not slightly positive play, sometimes even very positive play, depending on the game. And Burton still an unknown. Like he could give you negative games. And that's not an issue. This is just being a rookie. So, all this to say, I think Jermaine Burton starts the year. I think he is the leader in the clubhouse. But if it is Trent Irwin out there week 1, I will not be throwing a fit because I know Trent Irwin, in my mind, solid player. And that just means they probably want to play Jamar Chase on the inside a little bit more than they have in the past.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's something to look forward to next week. And we'll get to see a little bit of that if Jamar Chase is back out there. He's expected to be at mandatory mini camps. You get Jamar Chase, you got Trent Irwin, Jermaine Burton. I think all of this is important. And I know we kind of made the comparison. Dax Hill was getting those reps when Jesse Bates wasn't there during training camp, during, mandatory mini camp. So we'll see if that impacts anything. But yeah, I'm not down on Trent Irwin. I hope he is amazing for this offense. But I know the expectations are really high and it feels like, oh, the Bengals got a steal in Jermaine Burton. I really hope they did. I really hope he can be that style of wide receiver because you're going to need it next year without T. Higgins. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
I don't think I see him as the Higgins replacement. We'll see. I mean, he played a lot of outside in college, and he was a very big deep threat in college. He's a little bit small, a little bit slight. That's all I think is just that. I think he has a better shot playing outside than I thought Charlie Jones did last year. Like I thought Charlie Jones was slot only, and then even though he played outside so much at college, and then Charlie Jones wasn't ready to play on the inside because he never played it, and I wasn't predicting that. I thought he'd make the transition, so he struggled a little bit. I think Jermaine Burton played a little bit more inside than Charlie Jones did. I think he's more ready to make that flip. He did play more outside than inside in college, but if I had to guess, they probably view him more as like an explosive slot receiver than they do the future T. Higgins on the outside. I feel like they just want a bigger body. I don't know. Could be wrong, but that's what I feel.
Okay, we will wrap this up. There's just one more thing I want to say. Don't forget about Yoshi. I think we talk all these other wide receivers. I'm expecting a Yoshi jump too. in his year 2 in the NFL. We'll see what that looks like when it comes to the wide receivers.
Yeah, I forgot to mention him. He's definitely in the spot for the. If Trent Irwin is in that spot for taking the third wide receiver job, because maybe they'll just play Jamar Chase more inside, then Yoshi certainly is as well. If Yoshi makes improvements and he can give you some consistency to go with the flashes of potential that we saw, then yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised if he. I think they've got quite a bit of depth. And it's a good thing that there's a competition for this third wide receiver who's going to get the third most snaps week 1 and throughout the season. So, yeah, could be Yoshi, could be Jones, could be Irwin, could be Burton. I'd give the lead in my mind to Burton right now. Could be some offseason hype getting to me, but I buy it. I thought he was a second-round talent that they found that late. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of them were the guy that was out there week 1. It could be any of them.
Can't wait. I can't wait for OTAs to be over and training camp, I think, to be here. I don't know. I have a little PTSD when it comes to Bengals training camp over the last few years. So we'll see what that looks like. But Mike, do you have anything coming up on all Bengals?
No.
I love your. Well, you know what people should do? They should go back to your old articles that you wrote during the draft and reread those. Get hyped after mandatory minicamp is over, all the way to training camp. Go back and read all Mike's work. Make sure you follow Mike over on Twitter, Bengals_Sands. He's going to have at some point he'll have clips again, right?
Yeah. I throw clips up every now and again, but I'm not writing anything at the moment.
Don't blame you.
I'm off to Hawaii this week. I'm not right.
Whoa, low key's like, yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. You guys can enjoy
it. Yeah, I just got married. Yeah, so we're taking the week.
You know what? I don't blame you for missing mandatory minicamp Twitter. If you are on Twitter while in Hawaii,
I might log on in the morning. Like I wake up before my wife does, so I will probably check the day's stories, and then I'm probably off of it for the rest of the time, drinking Mai Tais on the beach.
That's where you should be. Well, enjoy Hawaii. That is absolutely fun and amazing, and congratulations again. We will be back later in June. July will be here around the corner for training camp. Make sure you follow Mike. Like I said, Bengals_Sands. You can follow me at Ellen Diaz Patterson. Thank you, as always, for listening to It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati.